Alright, y'all, welcome back to Rooster Crowing TV, man. It's been a minute, but we back, you heard me? It's been a minute, but we back, you heard me? Alright, man. To all my subs out there, I owe y'all some kind of explanation as to why I disappeared. You know what I'm saying? This is it, 1 minute. So, full-time student, full-time employee, that shit can get stressful. And I was doing HVAC. So the good news is I graduated. You know what I mean? I graduated back in May. And I was just, you know what I mean, taking my time trying to get my strength back so I can be able to upload a few videos a week. You know what I mean? But with school and work and, you know, your livelihood, it could take a toll on you. But that's where I've been. I just had to focus on school because I was trying to get a good GPA, which I did. I think I made the principals list or something like that. No, is it? Yeah, principals. I think so. Yeah, one of these high ass, you know what I mean, awards. I got it. So I'm cool. You know what I mean? Now I'm back. Well, anyway, yo, for all the newcomers, man, keep in mind it costs $0.00 to hit that subscribe button. And I even be fair and price match and do the same thing if you hit that like button right now. Just do it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, though, man, let's get into this video, man. These cave videos, man. I've been liking these videos a lot, man. I'm gonna try to do a lot more of these. Like I said, I'm still doing my regular content. You know what I'm saying? But I've been liking these reaction videos, and I want to come back doing something different, not the same thing. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, hey, I don't know. I guess I like scaring myself sometimes, like I said, bro. Just, you know what I mean? But this video right here, you know what I mean? Cave divers trapped underwater. You know what I mean? Keep in mind, if you're trapped underwater, you have a limited air supply. Keep that in mind. Let's react.
One of them will suffer catastrophic consequences in a desperate struggle to survive. This is the fatal breakdown of the Agan Afwith tragedy. True cave explorers are a different breed. These adventurers are truly seeking a once-in-a-lifetime discovery by finding passages or caves that have never been seen before. The desire to be the first is enough to propel them into situations that most of us cannot comprehend. Martin Farr and Roger Solari were just this type of caver. They were exploring the most extensive cave systems in the UK, with the hope of extending the known passages beyond what was currently mapped. Both Martin and Roger were fairly experienced for their ages. At just 23 and 26 years old, they had been dry caving for nearly a decade, but had only advanced to cave diving in the last 3 years. In 1974, Martin and Roger would be teaming up to expand mapping of the Agan Afwith cave system in South Wales. Recently, a well-known major explorer, John Parker, had left exploration after discovering the existence of a third sump in one of its longest passages. A sump is a tunnel in a dry cave which dips down in elevation and is water-filled. If the sump is very short, cavers may just hold their breath and attempt to swim through. Longer sumps require full scuba diving gear to get through. The complexities and dangers of dry caving are severely magnified when cave diving is added to the mix. Martin and Roger were planning to go beyond.
Alright, so I guess the sumps must have been previously mapped, because how would you know how long it is? You know what I mean? How would you know if I can hold my breath for 20 seconds and swim to the other side? Like, how would you know? Like, you don't have, I mean, of course it's been mapped, but like how would you just know that? You know what I mean? You got to be like not an expert at this particular cave, but a returning visitor or something. You don't been there before. That's the only way you would know something like this.
The two sumps which had previously been discovered and check out the new third sump. On their planned trip in May, Martin had to go solo because Roger had hurt his knee. A solo trip always comes with more danger because there's no one to help or call for assistance if you get in trouble. Martin knew the risks, but he was determined to get through the third sump to see what was on the other side. Just getting to the third sump was a massive feat in itself. The cave hike through a maze of tunnels, boulder chokes, and squeezes lasts for hours. It's nearly a mile into the cave to come to the 3 sumps. A caver must carry in diving equipment, including a couple of air tanks per person. Each tank has to be pushed through the tight passages and boulder chokes in the main path. A boulder choke is an area where rock falls have blocked the tunnel with large rock which cannot be moved. Smaller pieces have been moved away, leaving a largely blocked path. Cavers would have to push their equipment through the hole, then squeeze and contort their bodies through afterward. This grueling trek would exhaust most men, but not Martin Farr. He was electric with excitement about what might be beyond Sump 3. When he made it to the first sump...
There we go again with that curiosity. Always trying to see what's on the other side. And because you're so curious, you want to see what's on the other side, you just keep pushing and going and going and going. Bruh, like I told y'all in the first video, don't ever let your curiosity get you to this point of no return. Because when you wake up and you find yourself over here, it's over. It's over, bruh.
He had already traveled over 4,000 feet of tough stoops, low crawls, and tight squeezes in the southern stream passage. Moving through the first two sumps would be fairly easy going for Martin, since they were about 250 feet and 85 feet long dives. No matter the length, it is still quite a challenge to swim through tight underwater tunnels, only to come up in small open pools, which lead to even more unknown paths. The third sump was much longer, and no one had been completely through it yet. Martin hoped to have enough air to make it to the end, but had no idea what may lay beyond. He swam the length of Sump 3 for 850 feet before making it to the next air chamber. This was more than 3 times the length of the first sump, but he was thrilled to see what was next. Martin left his diving equipment at the bank of Sump 3, then followed the path around many twists and turns. This long path zigzagged back and forth for 1,800 feet, the length of 5 football fields. When Martin came around the next corner, he was amazed to see the pool of another sump. He knew that he would not be able to enter the water on this visit.
Wait. Let's go back 1 second. I want to see what he was so curious to see. You know what I mean? Let's go back 1 second. Let's see.
For 1,800 feet, the length of 5 football fields. When Martin came around the next corner, he was amazed to see the pool of another sump.
He was amazed to see this, y'all. This. Keep in mind, the air in this cave could be poisonous. So this is what we're risking our lives for. This is what the curiosity led us to, just to see this. I mean, it's not even like one of the wonders of the world. Like, okay, let's proceed.
He knew that he would not be able to enter the water on this visit. His air tank back at Sump 3 would only be enough to get him back through the 3 dives he already had to do to get out of this tunnel. He was a mile away from the exit, and would have to spend the next 4 or 5 hours working his way back out. As soon as he was back on the surface, he contacted Roger to plan the next visit. They would need to bring an extra air tank each to explore the 4th...
Whoa, so he gets out, and then they start planning another visit right away. Right away. Hey, these boys are true cave divers, man. Right away.
In this cave system. Roger was feeling the same thrill as Martin at considering what might be on the other side. It takes a special kind of cave mind to see this as an exciting adventure. The plan was to trek more than a mile, including dives through 4 narrow tunnels of water, to enter an unknown cave or air pocket on the other side.
Never.
It honestly would frighten most people to even imagine the trapped feeling that would envelop you after dozens of tight pushes and long dives, trapping you deeper and deeper into the cave. On June 15th, 1974, Roger and Martin made their way through the path that Martin had visited just weeks before. Before entering Sump 3, they had each changed to a fresh set of air cylinders, leaving the partially used tank on the bank for the trip back. They had carried 3 tanks apiece into the dark cave, and would be starting the Sump 3 dive with 2 full tanks each. They were both feeling the excitement as they exited Sump 3. The new pack...
Okay, I see. These boys are strategizing. I can see that. You know what I mean? Lead this one here. More than likely, they got enough air to take us back. Let's start off over here with 2 fresh packs, so that way we don't have, 3 tanks to try to take down in the water with us? Okay, I can see that.
It was a first for Roger, and the men felt the energy of exploration during the 1,800-foot trek. They moved slowly and methodically to avoid damaging their essential diving equipment. As they approached the sump pool and set down their equipment, a sudden depressing dread fell over the both of them. The electric mood of just a few minutes ago had faded to a somber silence. They were both still eager to get on with the dive, but somehow this change in mood was palpable to the both of them. They were so far away from freedom, the walls seemed to close in, and the air became thick and suffocating. They each had a full tank for the Sump 4 dive, as well as the remainder of the tank used in Sump 3, but somehow this didn't provide comfort. One broken valve or damaged tube could leave them trapped in this very room. Despite this ominous weight, the men gathered their equipment and slid under the surface of the water. Roger had a spool of 400 feet of line to be laid. Martin brought another spool with an additional 1,000 feet of line. They moved together as a team, though each was truly having an independent dive. They would each be responsible for their own safety, including deciding when to turn back. Roger's tanks were slightly smaller.
Yo,
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this
it's
car.
commercial.
Okay, you ready? All right, $118 for car insurance. That's how much I was paying, okay? I picked up the car a few months ago, and watch this, ready?
Oh, man, you already
$97
watch all
premium,
this commercial, man.
$20 were my fees,
But yo, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Roger's tanks were slightly smaller than Martin's, so they knew that he would probably turn back shortly before Martin. They also had different buoyancies. Roger was positively buoyant and floated towards the top, while Martin was negatively buoyant and sank towards the bottom. They moved through the newly discovered sump, slowly turning their bodies to fit through the narrowest sections. They found themselves going deeper and deeper as the line was laid. It was certainly no time for panic. Roger's reel ran out of line at 400 feet. At this point, Martin tied in his line and could see that Roger was suffering from sinus issues again. Roger had experienced this many times before, but he was not willing to let this pain stop him from this important discovery. He pressed on and followed as Martin laid the next 100.
What? This important discovery. We're going to ignore all the red flags. Our body's letting us know, hey, man, we've been down here too long, but we're going to ignore all that. All right.
Feet of line. During this portion of the dive, Martin was consciously breaking the cardinal rule of diving. The rule of thirds was established as a safety threshold for when to turn back in a dive. If you use 1/3 of your air going out on a dive, you would need to use 1/3 coming back. Then keep 1/3 in reserve for emergencies. He had already used his first third of air and should have turned back when Roger's line ran out. Knowing that Roger had less air, he assumed that Roger had reached thirds and was already headed back to the water surface of Sump 4. But Martin's curiosity had gotten the better of him. In a dangerous move, he pushed on until he came to a gravel wall of rock. This seemed like clear evidence that he may be coming to the end of the sump, and an air pocket would be above. He planned to follow the wall up and catch his breath in the air pocket before turning back. He was well past the halfway mark for his tank, and this left him in a dangerous position. If it took him more than half the tank to make it this far, he would need nearly as much to get back. He quickly moved up the wall until his depth meter showed that he was at just 3 feet from the surface. His hopes were instantly dashed. There was nothing but a rock ceiling above him. He knew at this moment that he should turn back to go, but the...
Yo, he's already on reserve. And curiosity again kept telling him to keep pushing. And the other sump, there's no actual room in there. It's just a... bro, this is crazy.
led off to the right, and he hoped that there might be air just beyond this outcropping of rock. He pulled himself along another 30 feet before realizing it was a dead end. There was no air pocket. He turned back the way he came and could see up ahead at the junction that Roger was near the top of the passage, looking rather shocked. Martin made quick signals that they must head out immediately. The anguished look on Roger's face may have been a stunned realization that he might not have enough air to make it 500 feet back to the water's surface. He was likely looking for the same pocket of air that Martin expected to see. They were both surprised to find that the sump did not end with a new cave or pocket of air. Martin quickly moved down to the bottom of the passage and followed the line out towards the exit. He had only gone about 130 feet back towards the exit when his tank came to its end. He tried to calmly switch to his reserve tank, but a quick calculation showed that he would barely have enough to make the next 300 feet in this sump, as well as the 850 feet in sump 3. He had a partial tank between sump 2 and 3, if only he could make it that far. He came up in the sump 4.
Oh shoot! Yo, alright, don't forget. In the beginning, the first tank of air they came with, they left it, right? And they started off in this sump with a new, fresh tank of air. But keep in mind, he got so curious as to see, he was trying to see what's on the other side of the cave, like on the sump, right? He's trying to see what's on the other side of the sump, to where he keeps pushing, and when he gets there, there's no air bubble. There's nothing. It's just it's a wall. He's still underwater, and his tank is damn near empty. Gotta keep that in mind, bro. Oh, bro, this is critical.
With the relief that only a full room of air could provide. He checked his gauge to see how much air was left, and it would barely be enough to dive through the next sump. It was a frightening realization how close he was to a sure emergency. But it still wasn't over. While he waited for Roger to make it to the surface, Martin exited the water and sat on the bank to settle his nerves. Martin knew that Roger had even less air than he did, so if he didn't surface in the next few minutes, it would be devastating. 10 minutes passed, and then 20. He was coming to the realization that if Roger did make it out of sump 4, he wouldn't have enough air to get through sump 3.
Wow.
Minute after minute passed, with no ripple or bubble in the water. All was perfectly still. After an hour, Martin was sure that Roger would have been out of air, and there did not seem to be any air pockets in the sump. Martin stepped into the water and pulled the guide line to make it tight. He pulled, and then it was clear. The line was no longer connected. Martin reeled in the line until...
Oh,
I need your help, and here's why.
dang
I'm on a
commercials,
mission
man.
to recover $10 million
Oh
within the
my
next 12
gosh,
months
bro.
to American patriots that have
Yo.
unrightly been...
Martin reeled in the line until he came to an end where the line had been cut clean. It was at the 430-foot mark on the line, which meant that Roger was on his way back from the 500-foot mark where he'd last seen him. This was probably the point where Roger needed to switch tanks. He floated to the top and had to put his arm through the line so that he wouldn't lose it. Switching tanks in 1974 was not a simple task. The equipment was ill-designed, and locating the valve for a swap might require removing tanks and twisting your body to find the right piece. When a tank was running low on air, the diver would have to literally suck the air out in a stressful and uncomfortable effort at breathing. These circumstances could have easily led to Roger being tangled in the line. He would have been forced to quickly cut the guideline in order to get moving. In the desperate struggle to get air, he could have easily proceeded in the wrong direction, with no guideline and silted passages. Exactly what caused him to run out of air in that tunnel is unknown. It is certain that he would have been stressed and struggling to find any pocket of air in order to breathe. The devastating reality was that he did not find it. Martin had to gather himself and remain calm to safely exit the 3 dives ahead of him and the long hike out to the top side. It would be hours before he'd be able to alert anyone to Roger's fate and gather a search team to return to locate his body. The devastating reality is that if they had followed the rule of thirds, Roger would still be alive. If Roger had gotten tangled or gone the wrong way with a half a tank of air remaining, he could have had an opportunity to reorient himself and still make it out safely. If Martin had kept a reserve, he would have had enough air to turn around to look for Roger when he didn't see him along the passage. After this dive, Martin Farr stated that he never broke the thirds rule again. He went on to have a notable diving career over the next several decades. Over the weeks and years that followed the accident, all attempts to locate Roger failed. He was nowhere to be found in Sump 4. Martin performed an extensive search of the sump in 1981, top to bottom for nearly 700 feet. He was unsuccessful in locating any evidence of Roger. It was still an incredibly challenging area to explore. All equipment and air had to be carried in over a mile deep into the tunnels. It would take years for another team to explore this sump again. Knowing that Roger's body was somewhere in the tunnel, The new cavers were hoping to finish the expansion of what was on the other side of Sump 4. Ian Rowland and Julian Walker in the fall of...
Wow. Man, all I can say is, boy, God made some different kind of people, boy. You just heard it's a body in that cave. You not a rescuer. You just seeking adventure. And you about to go down there after just hearing that there's a body down there? Yo. Yeah.
86 were able to push beyond the limit reached by Martin. There, at 720 feet into the sump, they found the body of Roger Solari, 12 years after he went missing. Because this sump was such a challenging place to reach, removing Roger's body would be nearly impossible. It was decided to leave his body in place, due to the incredible risk it would cause for any recovery. In the following year, Ian Walker made another grueling trip through Sump 4, discovering its actual terminus in 1987. He had to travel a full 875 feet through tight passages underwater, passing Roger's body as he went, to reach the end of the sump. He finally found the elusive air pocket that everyone had been seeking. This cave is the final stop for this path. There was no linkage to any other tunnel or cave system. This terminal cave was aptly named Against All Odds Chamber. The entrance to this cave system is now locked, and the key is only available to experienced cavers with approved permission.
Yo. Oh my gosh, bro. And yo, just check out that door. It's a lot of caves that have this door on there. When you find one that got this door on there, you want to think twice about going in there. It's a good chance you ain't coming out. Another thing I want you to pay attention to, right? In the beginning of these videos, the narrator always says, most of the time he say, these people had experience. Such and such had 10 years experience. Or this. That shit don't matter. Your experience go out the window when that panic kick in. Especially when you know you about to run out of water. Run out of air. You underwater, like, you about to run out of air. Okay, experience, keep calm. Keep calm, keep swimming. You ain't finna keep calm, man. You in between two little walls like this. Somewhere in the ground filled with water. And you about to run out of air. Man, bruh. Anyway, man, I'm digging these videos, man. You know what I mean? If y'all liking these videos, y'all talk to me in the comment section, man. Talk to me. Don't be shy. Talk to me, man. You know what I mean? Let me know if you digging these videos, you know what I mean? And then, hey, like I said, I'm doing my regular content. We got a long weekend coming up, you know what I mean? So I'm going to sit back and, just see what's going on in these YouTube streets and just keep my channel active, you know what I mean? Keep it busy. But, yo, till next time, man. Warned y'all already, man. If y'all if you are claustrophobic, man, you know what I mean? You got anxiety and things like that, boy. Listen, watch this video at your own risk. All right? Till next time, y'all. Peace.